All right. Welcome everyone to today's info session on the Trans Leadership Academy. I am MG Zhang. You can call me MG. I use they, them, theirs pronouns, and I am the programs manager for the Massachusetts Transgender Political Coalition, also known as MTPC. I have been with the team since June of last year after I graduated, and I have been leading the development for the Trans Leadership Academy. I'm going to share my screen. I have a slide deck to share, and it will also be available to everyone afterwards as well, in case there's something that you missed, or for individuals who may have joined late, they will have access to this. We'll post it on our website, as well as the FAQs at the end additionally. So a little bit about MTPC. We are one of the nation's oldest trans advocacy organizations. We were founded in 2001, and much of our history and foundation of our organization is wrapped up in securing legal protections for transgender and gender expansive people here in Massachusetts. Notably, we worked on the Yes on 3 campaign in 2018 and led that successfully. And as Massachusetts, fortunately, has secured many legal protections for trans people, we have shifted to community programming to build trans power and redistribute power to trans people and provide more direct service engagements. Our visions are for a world where all trans, non-binary, and gender expansive people are valued and celebrated. They fully participate and thrive in all areas of society, and where we actualize our full potential and self-determination to shape the future. An overview of today's info session, I will provide background on the Trans Leadership Academy, kind of where it came about and how it came to be now. I will share about the TLA team, so the people behind the Trans Leadership Academy making this happen, anticipated outcomes for the program overall, and an overview on who the Trans Leadership Academy is for in terms of program participants, some different components to the program and what will go on, as well as the general timeline, the mentorship component for individuals who may be interested in being a mentor. Who is this for and what does this entail? And then I have organized some frequently asked questions, and there will also be space for a Q&A. As I am moving along, you are more than welcome to pop your questions in the chat. I may not get to them immediately. I may save them to the end, but if it is relevant to what I am speaking on, I may be answering it then. But if I don't get to your question immediately, don't think that I missed it. I'll just look at it at the end. All right, so the Trans Leadership Academy. So in 2019, MTPC conducted a community needs assessment, our Working for Lived Equity community needs assessment. And among the highest needs identified by over 300 trans people polled in Massachusetts were the ones you see here on this graphic. People identified employment, housing, paying bills, and access to education as some of their highest needs that they are unable to reach on their own, or that they have struggled meeting with historically. So from this information, from the community needs assessment, MTPC started to build the Trans Leadership Academy as a way to meet the needs identified by our community, ensuring that we didn't conduct the needs assessment for no reason, but that we were using it to inform our programming and how we can better serve trans and queer populations here in Mass. And we wanted to build programming that builds trans power and provides pathways to sustainable independence, as well as really just putting money in trans people's pockets. That's really the goal here. The Trans Leadership Academy, this session, the 2023 session, is funded by the City of Boston's Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development. I note this because later on, when I talk about eligibility, some of the eligibility requirements and stipulations are stipulations given to us by the City of Boston's EOHED office. And so while we would love to run this for the whole state, right now we are limited to the City of Boston by our grant funding. The folks behind the TLA, so for over a year now, a little over a year and a half, we have had a community advisory board made up of 5 individuals who are all people of trans experience, and it is a majoritively BIPOC space. You can see the pictures go in order of their names here. We have Bryce, Chantel, Jane, Charlize, and Justice. These are all people who are who have demonstrated leadership, especially working within trans and queer communities. And they have been advising the development in our curriculum development, how the program will run overall, who to recruit, and promoting the academy and the materials as well. Kay Martinez, they will be an instructor and they have been our curriculum developer also for a little over a year now. I will get more into the program sessions, but their background is in higher education and specifically diversity, equity, and inclusion within higher education and academic spaces. And then me, MG Zhang, I am the program manager for the Trans Leadership Academy, and I will also co-instruct along with Kay. It has been a pleasure of mine to be working with all of these brilliant and beautiful individuals as the program develops and seeing it unfold before our eyes. I was just in a meeting yesterday with the Community Advisory Board discussing our launch in a little over a month. And things are going well, but I wanted to put some faces to this program so it feels a bit more personable and human. The anticipated outcomes of the Trans Leadership Academy include meaningful relationships with trans and gender expansive community members and leaders. So this space will be entirely T for T. And I think there's something really special in being in community with people who you don't have to explain yourself to, you don't have to worry if they have certain ideas about trans people. And so it's really special that individuals will be able to connect with others within the Academy cohorts, their mentors, as well as other events and community engagements that we attend and the connections that are made throughout the Academy session. Individuals will also have gained work experience through connections to employers, companies, and organizations that align with career interests. So we are developing a Trans Leadership Academy network, and this is organizations and companies who may be interested in providing internship opportunities, paid opportunities, and a pipeline from the Academy to employment, specifically within areas of leadership and where there is interest. We don't want the program participants to feel like they have to be cornered into a typical 9-to-5 job, but finding meaningful employment that is aligned with their own interests, what they like to do, previous experience they may already have, and just something that really connects and affirms them. Additionally, there will be pathways to educational institutions and learning centers, licensing and certification programs, and apprenticeships. And this will also be determined by the interests of the program participants. And so, for example, if someone is interested in going to a trade school or a trade program, then connecting them through the Trans Leadership Network to the right individuals. There are a lot of resources in Massachusetts that are underutilized because they are incredibly difficult to find and navigate on your own. So the Trans Leadership Academy is bridging the connections from the interests of the individual to the organizations and the programs that are here to serve us. Additionally, I will mention later on that one of the target audience for the Trans Leadership Academy is people who are formerly incarcerated. And so for individuals who are formerly incarcerated, we have an anticipated outcome objective of reducing the likelihood of reincarceration and dependence on survival economy. And so again, meaningful pathways to sustainable independence and financial stability. For the program overview, so who is eligible to apply for the Trans Leadership Academy? Who is this for? Transgender and non-binary adults who are 18 and older, who are BIPOC, low income, and or formerly incarcerated who live or work in the city of Boston. And so anyone who is of trans experience that is 18 and older is welcome to apply. And we highly encourage people over 25 to apply. And our kind of reasoning and idea behind this is that a lot of programming, especially for LGBTQ people, kind of has a cutoff age of 22 to 25. And so many services such as Bagley or Glass have those cutoff ages. And we want to ensure that people who are both young adults outside of that range, people who are in different stages of their life, whether that's wanting to pivot to a new career or wanting to start a career for the first time, go to school, go back to school. This is really for individuals from all stages of their life and all backgrounds. The time commitment for the Trans Leadership Academy for participants will be about 12 to 15 hours per month. This will go from April to June, and we will meet regularly 3 to 4 times a month. I will get more specific about the times and the locations for that meeting as well. And to support participants' involvement, we will be providing a $1,000 stipend per month during the program. So $1,000 in April, in May, and in June. And this is to compensate you for the time and involvement that it takes to be a part of the Trans Leadership Academy, as well as a source of income. Program participants will also receive a laptop provided by us, and for people who complete the program, they will be able to keep that laptop indefinitely. Individuals will also receive an MBTA pass to support their ability to get to programming, and it doesn't have to be just used for programming, but in general, it will be monthly passes, and they will also receive stationery supplies for note-taking, any learning aids that people may need or want, and things of that sort to support their involvement during program sessions. All right, and so the different components of the Trans Leadership Academy, firstly is educational sessions, and we actually just secured the location today, so I can update you all later on where that will be. These are workshops on personal and professional development. So we will go through the motions of identifying some goals we want to set within the 3-month academy, both personally and professionally. And then as we get into the workshops, we will be discussing resume and cover letter writing, interviewing skills, and topics that are similar to job preparedness or and leadership development. We will also have guest speaker series throughout the Trans Leadership Academy, notably 2 speakers that we will have sessions on include financial management, specifically financial management planners who are familiar working with low-income people, because oftentimes, you go to a financial management seminar or something, and it's really not catered to people who are low income. I know that I have attended sessions where I'm like, okay, this is clearly for someone who doesn't live paycheck to paycheck, and that's not my situation right now. So it'll really be curated for the audience rather than general information. And another subject matter expert speaker will join us to talk about employment rights. So your rights during the employment process, during the interview process, identifying discrimination. Sometimes we don't even know what discrimination is or what it looks like specifically in interpersonal interactions. And so knowing your rights within employment and in the workplace. We will also have mentorship. This will happen hybrid. And so with a cohort of 7 to 10 individuals, each individual participant will be connected with a mentor. And this will be someone of trans experience who has demonstrated leadership and or mentorship experience across a range of industries. We have not been recruiting for any specific industry because we know that there's a wide variety of interests that program participants will come in with, and as well as mentors will come in with. And so leveraging just the variety of experiences that people have to really make meaningful mentorship. And so during those one-to-one meetings with mentors, there will be guided conversation topics. So from each session, mentor meetings will happen in between sessions mostly. And so you'll have an opportunity to reflect on what the session covered, ask any questions, as well as, for example, the resume writing workshop. One of the asks or the tasks will be writing a resume draft. And so mentors would support in kind of reviewing that draft, providing feedback on the material that is there. And lastly, another component for participants is community engagement. So in addition to meeting and program sessions, we also will have engagements where we connect as a group outside of those workshops. And this will be more recreational activities. And we're still planning this out, but it will include events similar to the scope of the program, such as job fairs or career fairs, as well as more of that recreation of fun outings to do together and connect just with one another outside of the academic learning space. For the program timeline, starting in March, by March 17th, applications for both mentors and participants closes on March 12th. So by March 17th, all applicants, both participants and mentors, will be notified of their application status, whether they are accepted into the Trans Leadership Academy for this cohort or not. And then in late March, we will be doing some onboarding and mentorship pairing and kind of ensuring that participants and mentors are connected in meaningful ways that match people's interests, experiences, identities, and other factors that may be important for people in a mentorship relationship. In April, that first week on that Wednesday, we will have orientation for mentors. This will include a presentation workshop from Bryce, who is one of the community advisory board members, on foundations to inclusive mentorship and ensuring that mentors feel equipped and comfortable navigating this process and have guidelines and boundaries set up in place to support them. The following week will be the first time participants gather for orientation, and then following that, workshop sessions will begin. In May, workshop sessions will continue as they will in June, with the final session on that last Wednesday of the month. And then in mid to late July, we will have a completion ceremony, like a graduation, for individuals who complete the Trans Leadership Academy. On the mentorship aspect, so who is encouraged to apply to be a mentor? People of trans experience with demonstrated leadership, alignment toward lived equity, and experience working with people from various backgrounds and walks of life are encouraged to apply, and BIPOC trans people are also highly encouraged to apply. And this is important because as much as possible, we want to have this be a T for T space, like I was mentioning earlier. And for individuals interested in mentoring, the time commitment breakdown at 4 to 8 hours a month looks a little bit like this. So orientation will happen, and so that might be a little bit more time just in that first day where we are gathering together, going over guidelines, and just connecting and getting familiar to the program. And then mentors will meet with their mentee at least 3 meetings a month. Our suggestion will be 3 to 5 meetings. And that will be about an hour. Once mentors and mentees get connected, it may be more informal, quick check-ins, but overall in that first month, we will be wanting to connect for at least on at least 3 separate occasions. And while we will have guided topics, of course, in conversation, everything and anything comes up. And so the guided topics are there to help ask questions and facilitate conversation based on what is going on in program workshop sessions, but of course, not limited to just the workshop material. And additionally, that will include reviewing mentees' workshop deliverables. And so when we are drafting resumes or writing a cover letter, or maybe someone is submitting a job application, just being a helping hand and extra pair of eyes in going over their materials with them, or it won't always be like with the person. They may like send it to you and you look at it before the next meeting, so more outside of like on your own time, but reviewing workshop deliverables and tasks will be another responsibility. And once a month, mentors will connect with other mentors in the cohort, as well as the program manager, to discuss the triumphs and challenges that may be arising. Maybe there's some shared challenges that people are coming up with and are looking to support on, as well as a meeting with a clinical supervisor. That is a position that I will explain further. And mentors will receive a $250 a month stipend during the program sessions. So for April, May, and June, each of those months, they will receive stipend. And they will also have the resource of the Foundations of Inclusive Mentorship at orientation, as well as mentorship guidelines that can support them in developing healthy relationships and setting appropriate boundaries with their mentee. On mentorship support, the clinical supervisor is a position that we felt was very necessary to add into the Trans Leadership Academy. This will be an individual who is a licensed social worker and so is familiar dealing with sensitive information or urgent scenarios that may come up that mentors are not equipped or comfortable to handle. And so the clinical supervisor will provide group supervision of TLA mentors to ensure a supportive and affirming environment, and not feeling overwhelmed with something that a program participant may have come to them with, or something that they don't feel equipped to handle. They will ensure that mentors set and maintain healthy boundaries and provide support on sensitive topics and questions that may come up in mentorship, whether that be connecting to a local resource or talking with their program participant further. And peer-to-peer meetings are a way to meet and connect with other mentors once a month as well, just to get a general feel of how others are doing, learn from one another, and share our experiences. For questions and answers, there's some time at the end, or after I go through these FAQs, you're more than welcome to share your questions, but I will go through these first. So who is the target audience? As I mentioned earlier, BIPOC, low income, and or formerly incarcerated trans people 18 and older from all stages of life who live or work in Boston are welcome to apply, and individuals over 25 are highly encouraged to apply. And I mentioned that we are grant funded by the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development that currently restricts the program to Boston proper. And so the question, can I apply if I live outside of Boston? Yes, you can. However, we cannot guarantee that you will be eligible for this year's cohorts. That may mean that we keep your information or keep your contact to inform you of a future Academy session. What prior educational and or work experience do I need? So no previous work or educational experience is required. This program will require some reading and writing, but individuals do not have to have any college degree, a high school diploma, or a GED, so no previous work or educational experience necessary. Do I have to be eligible to work in the US? Yes, program participants need to be eligible, and this is specifically for paying the stipends. We have really looked at ways we can work around this and have unfortunately not found a solution. So program participants will need to be eligible to work. And what documents will I need to provide? Program participants will need to complete a W-9 tax document. That will be for purposes of receiving your stipend. And so this requires you to have a social security number or tax identification number. And while during all other parts of the session, people's chosen names will always be used, your legal name will have to be used on this document. Do I need a permanent mailing address? This is also something that we are trying to work around with the system that we are in. Individuals will need an address where you can receive mail, and the same one will be listed on your W-9, and we can always take a look closer at specific situations. So if you do not have a permanent mailing address, don't feel like you can't apply. We can still figure out your situation and how to navigate it best. Similarly, do I need a bank account? Yes, you will need a way to cash or cash a check and or receive a direct deposit. We may be able to provide assistance in setting up a bank account for individuals who may not have it through our partnerships as well. Some programming questions. So where will program sessions take place? I mentioned that we had just secured this. It will be the Elma Lewis Center at Emerson College, located across from the Common in Boston, downtown Boston. It is accessible via red, green, orange, and silver lines. When will program sessions occur? Workshop sessions will be 3 to 4 times a month on Wednesdays from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. We are working on completing the program schedule to be able to share out and put on our website as well. How many individuals will be in Academy class? This will be made up of a cohort of 7 to 10 people. And similarly with mentors, 7 to 10 mentors based on the Academy class. Do I need to provide any supplies or a computer for myself? No. Program participants will be given a laptop and stationary supplies. Participants who fully complete the program will be able to keep the laptop provided to them, but if the program is not fully completed, it must be returned to us. Can I participate virtually? Yes, all workshop sessions and mentoring can be joined virtually. We will encourage in-person attendance, but we know that there is a variety of reasons why someone may feel more comfortable or may need to participate virtually. And so that is also more than welcome. And we are ensuring that it is not having sessions where sometimes you are joining virtually to something that's hybrid, and if you're on a computer, you don't really feel involved. And so we are ensuring we have the technology to make sure people joining us virtually also feel included and in the space as much as the people who are physically there. And will sessions be recorded? No, they will not. Will I receive any certification or credits for participating? We are not an accredited program, so you will not receive credits, but participants who complete the TLA will receive a certificate of completion during the graduation ceremony in July. So those are the FAQs that I have. Again, this will be made available to everyone as well as on our website. We'll also be posting it on social media. And so as well as the slide deck. And as we progressively finalize more things, more information will be available. But for the rest of the session, please feel free to put your question in the chat and or turn on your microphone. I am happy with either, and I'd love to answer your questions. Yes, and I'm happy to answer questions about participating, being a mentor, or just general other ways to be involved outside of those two roles. Madeline asks, would meetings be in the evenings? I'm hoping to be a mentor, but would need to work with my day job. Yes, so we are looking to have meetings for mentors so that would be the meeting with the clinical supervisor and the peer-to-peer meetings with other mentors and the program manager. We would look to have both of those during a weekday evening time. Yes. And Jay Sanchez asks, regarding mentorship, do we need to be based out of Massachusetts or Boston? No, you do not. So if you are outside of Massachusetts, we do ask that you share any connections that you may have to the state. Maybe you previously lived here, or maybe you heard about the program and you live in another state, but there is no specific state requirement for mentors. Please also let me know if there's anything I can clarify or a slide that I can go back to that you want to look over once more. How do you plan to match mentors and mentees? This is a great question. So I've connected with a few other programs that have T4T mentorship and mentorship programs. And so we're developing that from talking with them as well as our own research and creating a personality questionnaire that will include information on experiences and interests, meaningful identities. And so both mentors and mentees will take this, and then we'll also ask mentors to share a bio. And so mentees can look through the bio and see if there's anyone that they particularly feel connected to through that. And if once people are paired, there is a qualm or disconnection between a mentor and a mentee, that is certainly something we can address as we want to ensure people feel comfortable and affirmed. And Jay also asks, is there a time frame that mentors can expect feedback on whether or not they are able to mentor? Yes, so all mentors and participants will be notified by or before March 17th. And so March 12th is a Sunday. That is when the application deadline is. And March 17th is that following Friday. Should participants have an overall idea of the type of careers they would like to pursue, or is there some space for participants to figure it out? Another wonderful question. People can come in having a general idea of what they would like to do and a specific career plan they would like to have and make happen. And they can also come in having no idea of what they might want to pursue. And so there's really room for everyone. Our first two sessions specifically will work on identifying our interests and our strengths and how we can use those interests and strengths to in our careers or in our personal and professional development. And Rachel asks, I was interested perhaps in being a mentor, but don't meet the categories for the program at this time. Would there be other opportunities in the future for other trans folks like myself? Yes, so this is our pilot program. This is the first time we are running the Trans Leadership Academy, and we want this to be the first of many. We have many future dreaming and plans for other session programs. So yes, we will be having more Trans Leadership Academy cohorts. Someone asks, can college students apply? I think this gives a huge level of privilege, but was still wondering. And yes, so while we will reserve spots for individuals who may not have traditional education paths and individuals who meet the other kind of target audience demographics as we were discussing, college students are still more than welcome to apply. Again, I think there's something really special about being in a learning space that is really just for trans people. Will there be other opportunities to share my experience or professional expertise to help? Yes, we are looking for guest speakers who would like to share their story. Maybe they want to present on a specific topic that is meaningful to them in their career experience. And so there are other ways to be involved outside of participating or being a mentor. Aviana asks, are there any employment opportunities centered around creativity, music, and art? A wonderful question, because as I reviewed the applications, many individuals who applied to participate expressed their interest in art, whether that's music or painting. And so I imagine that we will likely center a lot of events and guest speakers as well around opportunities in the arts. Wonderful question. Jay asks, is there anywhere I can reach out to for guest speakers? Yes, you are more than welcome to email me. I'll put my email in the chat. It will also be on the slide deck as well as our website. But you are more than welcome to connect with me to share whether you are interested or someone you know is interested. Similar to the question on opportunities centered around creativity and art, are there opportunities for LGBTQ activism as a career? Yes, my director and I were just talking today how it would be wonderful if people from the Trans Leadership Academy eventually worked with MTPC. And so there will be opportunities to connect with organizing organizations, activism organizations, and people involved in general trans and LGBTQ activism and advocacy. Deandra, you have your hand up.
Hi, thank you. So I work at a drop-in center on Mass Ave called the Victory Connector. We recently opened, and we serve primarily women, trans folks, and sex workers. And we have a few clients who are interested in this opportunity, and all of them are at the moment unhoused. Most of them are, their primary source of income is survival sex work. Um, what would you say would be like, I guess, like what level of stability would you be looking for in terms of participants in this program?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. We are really prioritizing accessibility and meeting folks where they are at. And so we anticipate being flexible on how you need to show up to programs. Additionally, dinner will be provided at each program session. And so ensuring that people are fed and well. So as we go through applications, once people apply, I send a screening questionnaire that asks questions on eligibility and accessibility. So questions such as if they are aware of any factors that may impact their involvements, whether that's securing childcare or not knowing if you'll be able to make it to every meeting. We are working to find accessible ways to ensure that people can participate as they are and as they come.
Cool. I really like to hear that. A follow-up question for clients of ours that are interested in applying. Some of them might not have consistent connection to like computers, email, text, phone, etc. Is there an option or a space on the application that might allow them to enter like a secondary form of contact? So either their like case manager or social worker could be listed, so that could like streamline the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the questions we ask is something like, what is the best way to contact and communicate with you? And so they would be more than welcome to put the email or phone number of a case manager or someone else that they're working with there as well.
Cool. Thank you so much.
And Jay asked, as I'm outside the state, will strictly online participation as a mentor be available? Yes, it will. So for mentorship, because it's, it can be really hard to coordinate everyone's schedules and get to the same spots, and it may not always be accessible, depending on distance of where each person lives. So mentorship will likely be mostly virtual, and in-person will be open to individuals where that makes sense for them. But strictly online participation as a mentor is certainly a route that I'm sure most people will go. Other questions, whether that's on applying, programming. Yes, I am happy to connect. So I put my email in the chat, and again, you'll have access to it afterwards as well. So feel free to connect with me if there's a question that you are not comfortable asking in a group setting. Would be happy to connect with you one-on-one. And if you don't have questions, you are welcome to leave. You're also welcome to hang out and see what other people ask. I will be here till 7, but you're welcome to move on with your evening as well. Yes, thank you everyone for showing up. It has been wonderful being in community with everyone here. Where is the guest cat? That is a great question. I have no idea currently. She is off somewhere. Yes, Aviana, we will be in touch with you soon. Thank you, Charming. Thank you, Zamir. I'm excited too, Jay. Thank you. Any questions for me, Ricardo?
Yeah, I do have one. I was trying to, I am not a tech person, so I was trying to send that chat and I couldn't. But basically, my daughter, she is no low income and she has never been incarcerated. So my question was whether in the future would be a program of this kind for her, because she, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. So just to clarify, you said your daughter is not formally incarcerated?
No. And
So
no
people
low
who, and not what?
low income.
Okay, so yes, there will be future sessions of the Trans Leadership Academy. And if your daughter identifies as a BIPOC individual, a Black person or a person of color, they are still welcome to apply. And we will have future Trans Leadership Academy sessions that are for individuals with different demographic information, different stages of life as well.
That's superb. Thank you very much. It was quite enlightening.
Thank you so much for attending.
Take care.
You as well.